I'm Mikko Heiskala. In this video, I talk about trends that describe how digitalization is changing business. The first trend is convergence. It refers to the trend that technologies which originally were unrelated and separate are becoming more closely integrated. Typically, different technologies often represented also separate industries and businesses. Convergence is mainly driven by two things: by the inherent flexibility of digital technology and software, and by the fact that digital technology is becoming embedded in different products and services in just about any business. This is causing cross-boundary disruptions across traditional industry borders. As an example, consider this old newspaper ad of Radio Shack. Radio Shack used to be a successful consumer electronics retailer in the US. Most of the products on display here were based on, at least in part, on analog technology. Each category had firms developing them and competing in their own industries, with big players and smaller specialist firms in each. There were industries for cassette tape recorders, phone answering machines, and VHS camcorders, for example. Today, all the things these different individual products on display in this Radio Shack ad could do can be done with a modern smartphone. Or to put it more accurately, with the smartphone and the software running on it. Radio Shack and its traditional brick-and-mortar retail model with physical stores were of course disrupted by Amazon. Radio Shack went out of business in 2015. The convergence trend can be seen in other ways too. As digital technology spreads, products are becoming smart, connected products. This is a term used by Porter and Heppelmann in their two excellent Harvard Business Review articles. The increased capabilities of smart, connected products also means they are no longer isolated, discrete products. Rather, they are parts of product systems of closely related products, or they are parts of even larger systems of related product systems. For example, a tractor manufacturer may find it no longer competes only in the tractor making industry. Rather, its success is based on how well it competes and cooperates in a broader farm automation industry. Only providing superior product functionality may not be enough anymore. The success hinges on the performance of the smart connected tractor in the broader product system. Next trend is commoditization. Commoditization refers to the trend that products that used to have economic value and were distinguishable from other products end up as commodities in the eyes of the customer. That is, products that were valued by customers and were differentiated, for example, by unique product features or brand, become distinguishable from each other only by their price. The products begin to resemble commodities like sugar or gas that are usually only bought based on price. Competition-wise, this is not a happy place to be in. This is happening for digital technology and digital products as well. You may remember from previous videos how the availability and affordability of digital technology is rising rapidly. See, for example, this story in the Next website from 2015 about how phone wars are over and all smartphones are just boring slabs. That doesn't sound like the writer thinks there is much different in the phones and their hardware features, does it? Well, true enough, smartphones are often sold in sales and the price discount is the marketing lead for them, like in this screenshot from a Finnish online retailer. Is it different for software and apps then? Can apps escape the price competition and commoditization? Well, at least many of the apps are free to use, so price competition cannot get much tougher then. Is it all about the price? Is price competition the only thing left as products commoditize? Does price matter? Well, in my opinion, it's about both. Of course, price always matters for customers, and you have to stay competitive in terms of your pricing. But it's never only about the price. A firm that doesn't innovate and offer better value for their customers is doomed to fail. Of course, you need to look beyond the price. And if you are in the business where the price is free, The differentiation is not in the price, is it? You need to offer better value for your customers than your competition, always. The next trend I talk about is consumerization of IT. You may have heard of a saying that no one ever got fired for buying from IBM or Microsoft. It originated in those times when IT technology, like computers, mobile phones, and so on, were so expensive only organizations and businesses could afford to buy them. The organizational market for IT technology was much bigger than the consumer market. In those times, and I'm talking about 80s and most of 90s here, it was someone's job to decide what sort of IT technology and from which company the organization should buy. So for that person, IBM and Microsoft were the safe bet that wouldn't get you fired. Consumerization refers to the trend that products and services that were introduced at the organizational market spread only later to consumer markets. Organizations and firms was where the money was, so it made perfect sense to develop your products for that market first, and only later offer those products for consumers. Driven by rising affordability and availability of digital technology and its commoditization, this cycle is now reversing. Nearly everyone can now afford to buy computers, smartphones, and other digital technology. The consumer market is therefore much bigger than it used to be, and in many ways is a more lucrative market than the organizational market. So today, it makes a lot of sense to take the individual consumer as the primary driver for design and pricing of your products and target consumers first. Consumerization of IT has another meaning too. It's often used to describe the trend of company employees using their own devices and software in their work and workplace, and the impact this has on the firm in general and the firm IT department in particular. On more general terms, consumerization of IT refers to firms beginning to use technologies that originated in the consumer markets in how they run their operations and business, and how their employees do their work. Consumerization of IT is therefore changing, perhaps even disrupting, how firms run their business and how work is done and with what tools. You only need to think of how popular services like LinkedIn, different messaging services like Skype, or file sharing services like Dropbox are used at work contexts to see this trend in action. Next trend I talk about is democratization. Today, just about everyone can buy a digital service provider or seller of sorts and reach even global markets. Like I've discussed before, availability and affordability of digital technology is rising, which also drives commoditization. This means almost everyone can afford to buy the digital tools they need to create all kinds of digital products and services. And for the same reason, the potential market for digital products and services is huge and global, as everyone with a digital device like a computer or smartphone can be a customer as well. With the help of the internet, this global market is reachable and open for all. Different social media services are typically free and have huge global user bases. Anyone can use the social media as a marketing channel to reach that global customer base. If not for free, then on the cheap. Software development tools, the basic tools for creating digital products and services, are also widely available for free, or as pay-as-you-go, or maybe I should say pay-as-you-grow services. Open source software, free software development kits, open application programming interfaces. All these put the necessary software tools in the hands of individual developers, much cheaper and in more variety than was the case before. Should your new digital service prove to be a success, scalable computing resources and memory are also available as a service from cloud computing providers, basically as utility services. And education knowledge about just about anything is freely available in the internet too. This democratization has led to radical lowering of barriers of entry to almost any market and industry. Barriers of entry are caused that must be incurred by a new market entrant that incumbents do not have or have not had to incur. New entrants today do not need to run their own server farms like Google or Amazon had to when they started out. Those barriers are today dramatically lower in many digital markets. You do not need to be an IBM or Microsoft to make it anymore. This has empowered unprecedented innovation from small outsiders and startups across the digital business landscape. Actually, many of the successful firms are in the business of empowering these individuals and small firms to reach and service markets of even global customers. They take care of distribution, billing, a bit of marketing, and so on behalf of these small producers. Creative work, innovation, and serving the customer is then left to these small producers. These firms that act as a new kind of intermediaries between producers and customers can grow even disproportionately large and powerful. Some even argue that they resemble monopolies. This kind of development, where a few big players grow very powerful, actually runs counter to the democratization trend, while at the same time their services also foster democratization. Another development that may affect democratization is increasing automation. The capabilities of digital technology to replace humans in performing different tasks is rapidly expanding. If history is anything to judge by, those capabilities will also be available for creating new digital products for those with the skills to do so. We may soon see autonomous cars on the roads and other examples of digital technology replacing humans. Some people fear this could lead to mass unemployment and to a future like this cover of the New Yorker magazine from 2017 foretells. What I think is certain that you should learn to race with the machine rather than against them. Effective use of human insight and intelligent use of these tools in development of new products and services will remain a key skill. Highly skilled digital professionals will be in demand and have ever more capable technologies at their disposal for creating innovative new digital services. The next trend I talk about is disintermediation. While democratization refers to the wide availability and affordability of tools and expertise to create digital products and services, disintermediation refers to removal of middlemen that used to control distribution of products to the customers, and also to giving producers direct means to reach buyers while lowering the cost of doing so dramatically. As an example, consider broadcast television to YouTube video creators or newspapers to bloggers, Twitter, and social media. Or how Amazon Kindle ebooks removed a host of middlemen from book publishing and distribution. The next trend is disaggregation. Disaggregation refers to the trend of that value chain of activities which were traditionally done within an organization are now being decomposed to parts. And these parts are then dispersed outside organizational and often geographical borders. This is made possible by digitalization. It lowers transaction costs between different parties and makes the process transitions smoother also. Digitalization also collapses time and place. Any digital information can be transferred almost instantly to anywhere via the internet. Without these developments, it still will be more efficient to perform the overall process or the activities in the value chains within the same organization. So, digitalization lowers transaction costs also between process phases. Generally speaking, handling and controlling a process in-house within the same organization probably contributes to lower transaction costs within that process. And digitalization improves these in-house processes too, of course. Yet, with specialization in these process parts and low enough transaction costs, networked processes by multiple specialist partners might be competitive enough versus a single organization. You can see a hypothetical example here in the field of logistics. Digitalization also allows for horizontal aggregation. That means leveraging investments across product lines, markets, or customer segments. Think how Apple has leveraged their investments across iPod, iPhone, and iPad, for example, or how Uber has with regular Uber, Uberpool, and Uber Eats. The next trend is servitization. It can refer to two trends. The growth of services as a proportion of the overall economy, or the transformation in the business model and offerings of a firm from products towards services. The first trend is evident in these following graphs. Service sector is the largest economic sector. They account for over 75% of the gross domestic product in developed countries and over 80% of the labor when it's understood as job tasks. Digitalization is the driver for service sector growth. Information and ICT services are growing fastest in terms of labor and in trade as well. While these graphs show the growth of the service sector, the division lines are blurring or disappearing. A little bit similarly as I discussed for convergence, firms are combining goods and services in their offerings. Service and manufacturing often complement each other in them. So it's becoming harder to classify a firm as either a services or goods firm for economic analysis. Some even argue that separate economic analysis of goods and services is potentially even counterproductive. How digitalization then transforms business models and offerings of a firm towards service? Well, let's consider music. First, you have the creative work of a composer. With physical products like LP records, that creative work could be sold and distributed separately from its performance. CD records then improved the sound quality and made the record physically smaller. Both improved the customer experience. iTunes in turn allowed the music to be distributed digitally over the internet, and you could only buy the songs you like instead of a full album. With Spotify, we gained on-demand access to just about all the music in the world with a subscription service. Now we can enjoy any music, anytime, anywhere, as a service with much improved customer experience and variety than was possible with the physical products. The same thing has happened with, for example, movie rental and Netflix. Think about when was the last time you rented a movie? A physical movie disc. Why would you? Netflix is a better service. Here's another look at this transformation. On the top, you can see many very different looking phones. And on the bottom, then very many very similar looking phones. If key to the competition is differentiation, then where is it? Okay, it's in the software apps that run on smartphones and the services they provide for us as customers. All the communication you could do with a feature phone like this trusty Nokia 3210 and more, you can now do with a single app like WhatsApp. Well, maybe you can't do everything with the app that the Nokia phone could do. The same service transformation is also evident in the trend towards smart connected products. Tractor manufacturer now needs to think how their product fits into the overall system. Their value proposition is moving from offering product functionality to how their tractor performs in the broader product system over time. They need to move from selling a product in a one-time transaction to maximizing the customer's value from the product over time in a long-term customer relationship. That is the service business they are in. This is another example of the service transformation and improvement digitalization enables. It shows the Finnish TV programs from one Saturday in 1988. I'm a football fan, and I already was a young football fan back then. The only time I could watch football on TV was 5 o'clock on a Saturday when TV2 aired an English League game. And it was a game. And you never had any say if it was your favorite team playing or not. You just took it what came. It's a much changed picture now for football fans and a service nowadays. Today, you can watch just about any competition, any match, any team, and get replays, highlights, and so on. All the things you couldn't even dream of back then. This is a much better service with digitalization. Here's another look back. This is a story from New York Times from 1989 about the problems with reckless pizza delivery drivers trying to meet Domino's Pizza's 30-minute delivery guarantee. Well, it just shows that the food delivery is a decades-old business. But digital service startups are disrupting that business too. Companies like Wolt from Finland, Foodora, and Deliveroo are specializing in food delivery and are offering a better service with digitalization. Like I said, there's nothing new in ordering takeout or restaurants offering delivery. Students also have a flexible earning opportunity as delivery drivers like they had back in the days. Digitalization does bring better service for customers though. It's easy to order food with the user-friendly apps, and the variety of restaurants on offer is much wider as well. Or at least you do not need to go through yellow pages to decide which restaurant you want to order from, like you had to before. The services are a win for the restaurants too. Restaurants seldom run on full capacity. So more customers via the apps means more efficient capacity utilization and more profits, without the restaurants having to invest in their own delivery network. And of course, the delivery company gets their share of the profits. And as a final example, consider these digital services and a slide you may have seen before. For all of these companies, digitalization has been a key driver for their success. But the point here is that they all have offered a better service with the help of digital technology. And that's been the key to their success, not the technology in itself. So today, services seem to be in everything, and everything is sold as a service. Just keep in mind that they all do run on software. I'm Mikko Heiskala. Thank you for watching.